So hello, everyone. My name is Brianne McGonigle Leyh. I'm an associate professor with the International and European Law Department, and my focus is on international human rights law and global justice.
And my name is James Kennedy. I'm Dean of University College Utrecht, and I am an historian, a contemporary historian of the Netherlands, but somebody who writes frequently about the country that both Brianne and I come from. So what are your first impressions of how the election's gone so far? We're well into Friday afternoon, and so we are seeing how things are developing. What's your sense of things, your feelings about them?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster. I really have to be honest. I mean, I think this week I've gone through every single emotion possible. I was quite nervous leading up to the election. I didn't I didn't believe any of the polls. I was joking with family members. I think I had PTSD from 2016, where I went to bed, believing in the polls and waking up and thinking what just happened. So this time around, I didn't look at the polls, but I was nervous because my Facebook feed and my friends on Twitter, are Republican supporters, and I didn't have this overwhelming sense that states like where I'm from, Georgia, or Florida, were gonna necessarily go blue. So I was a bit more hesitant this time going in, a bit more nervous going in. I woke up Wednesday just thinking, what on earth are Americans thinking? And became really emotional. I actually became really emotional through the week, and but slowly, what I've been really happy with a lot of the news programs so far. The way the news programs have covered it, they're very much like stay patient, and I think that's the message that needs to come out. And we still don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, no, but I mean, I understand that. I mean, it's this is something that I also found very hard. I had to go on the radio on Wednesday morning at 7:15 a.m. and I just woken up a half hour before after getting a brief night's sleep, terrible night's sleep, and then waking up and, just seeing that everything was so up in the air. And, I also, I mean, just given my own particular political preferences, for Joe Biden, is that, that I was thinking also now, how is it possible many of my fellow Americans have voted in this way, and just sort of reacting viscerally to that. And I think that is, that was my first reaction to it. I think in the longer term, it's just really more a kind of a sense that, we're just stuck with each other for the next 4 years. I mean, that that we're going to have to find some kind of way. We're going to have to find the best possible way of living with each other and dealing with each other, because this really is basically a 50-50 country. And that's the hard reality. And I hope, that we don't go from worse to worse, but now that we may have a chance of making it a little bit better. But, how optimistic I am about that, I don't know. What's your sense of where we're going to go from here?
So, I mean, yeah, I'm scared actually. When I see the rhetoric that's coming out of the White House and President Trump and their attempts to really stir up, going so far as even to say violence, that scares me. And I don't know, whoever wins, what will happen in the short term. I'm really hoping the American people can stay calm, that we can, really, investigate allegations, but really not just drum up these conspiracy theories of voter fraud. And, so far what I've been able to see is that there hasn't been fraud uncovered. And yeah, I'm just hoping in the short term, no violence. And then in the long term, yeah, for my political leanings, I'm a little bit I'm a little bit down. I would have liked to have had the Senate together with the presidency, simply because I think there's just too many crucial issues that are coming up. You know, everything from climate change to taking down sanctions against the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. So I think there's just so many issues that need to be dealt with, and quickly. I don't know. And the polarization, this urban rural divide in America, you know, what you said, we're 50-50, but that 50-50 is very distributed very differently in the US. And there just seems to be this strong disconnect. And that scares me. That's not what I want. That's not the America that I know.
Yeah, I mean, that is, that's one of the things that obviously all these things are bothersome to me too. I'm afraid of, that there will be 4 years of doing almost nothing about anything other than just rising feelings of distrust and anger. So I mean, that's a thing that I'm really don't like. Of course, the thing that bothers me most right at this moment is, and this is again, but no matter how it plays out, it's a suggestion that the outcome is not legitimate, that it's somehow, you're not, that if it is Joe Biden and this is what it's looking like, but we don't know for sure, that, somehow this president is not legitimate. Of course, the Republicans felt aggrieved before this that Donald Trump was not seen as legitimate president because he didn't have a majority of the popular vote, and that's sort of where that resentment is also built in. But now it's gone a very big step further in sort of saying that the election itself was unfair and that it was conducted with fraud. And if this is sort of the basis on which one party looks at the other, how much farther are we going to go? Now, I don't know to what extent that story of fraud is going to stick. There is, I think that depends a little bit on the Republican leadership, but I think it's a very bad start to what's going to come. So in that sense, I am really worried about it. And yeah, I mean, so how are we going to break through this? Maybe, and that's just the thing that sometimes I think is that, and that's something I've been writing about is that. Maybe we just need to find a way as Americans to take a step back from politics. Maybe we need to think about ways in which, politics is important issue to settle, but there are also kinds of things that we have in common, and there are other bonds that connect us, and we need to keep those in mind as well. Because if we don't, then the politics of a 50-50 nation that is more and more divided will get even worse.
I agree. I mean, well, I should say I agree to an extent. I I would say to not step back from politics. I think we should step into politics, and that's why I'm really glad about the number of people voting, for example, in Georgia. I mean, it's record numbers that had never done so before. So I want us to step into politics, but I want us to, in this political arena, learn how to talk with each other again, learn how to show empathy with one another's position again, recognize, that a person living in the city may experience different hardships than a person living in a rural area, but that, hardships are felt nonetheless in all places. So these conversations have stopped, and that's what I think I have found the most worrisome. And I'm just screaming out at this point for electoral reform. I think more than ever, people have recognized that the way the Electoral College was set up, was done on very arguably racist foundations. And this is something that we need to now see, where we potentially had 2 elections where the popular vote, person with the most popular votes could have potentially either lost in 2016 or potentially lose in 2020. I mean, this is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, this is I don't think that all parties will equally see the value of doing that. I think, one of the problems is that, not everybody sees it's, there's one party who's going to win and one party who's going to lose with a change like that. I do think, one of the things we can say, there is something positive also about, these, tens of millions of Americans who vote and, participated. So, in that sense, it does show a kind of commitment to the body politic. And I do think it is about, finding ways to talk with each other in ways that are more fruitful and productive. It's just my question is whether, you can do that with politics as the baseline, or whether you need to have a potluck supper before you can even start doing that. But anyway, thanks. This has been great talking with you.
You as
And
well.
so we'll.
Well, there's no winner yet, so we might have to come back.
That's right. We might have to come back, and who knows how we're going to think about this in a week from now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.